Hey there, I'm Noell Hyman. I'm excited to teach a class here with Yoga's Arc. I teach yoga all around the valley, but I'm first and foremost a dancer. I've been dancing my whole life, and I raised my daughter as a dancer, and she trained pre-professionally through the day, so I had to homeschool her. So I have a lot of experience with the dance world, and I understand dancers' needs. And so I'm excited to bring yoga together with that. I'm developing a program specifically for dancers. So you're going to get a small little sampling of a few things that we will work on in that program. Things that will help your turns, like your pirouettes or any kind of turn that you do. Things that will help you get really grounded and use the ground for, say, contemporary when you do the floor work, or hip hop floor work, or even using the ground to jump possibly. Some of this can transfer to that. So we're going to do several things. As a yoga practice, this is yoga as conditioning, specifically for dancers. So I do have a bit of an expectation that you can use your body in intricate ways. The beginning will be very foundational to help us get used to some different, a change of patterns, things that we're maybe not quite used to in our body. And then we'll get fun and it'll get intricate after that. As a dancer, it's a high probability, if you're dancing a lot and training a lot, that you have injuries. So if you do, you need to be extra careful, and I'm asking you not to do anything that your doctor would not approve of. So you should know what you're okay to do and what you're not. Just please, I ask you to be very careful and very mindful and aware of what is happening in your body. And so as a yoga class, we're actually going to start with some body awareness right now. So let's come onto our backs. You don't need blocks. I just like them to sit on. But you don't need anything but your yoga mat and a hard floor. And we're going to come onto our backs with our knees up and the feet are on the floor. And let's take a moment to just practice some conscious awareness where we're paying attention to how we feel. If you have some wiggles or discomforts you need to get out, go ahead and wiggle around like I'm doing until you feel like you can just sink into the floor, like you've got the most stability. And I want you to notice what parts of your body you may be holding tension, you may be trying to control. You can close your eyes here and then just feel. So you're just feeling in your body. If you're a dancer, you're so used to working, and I'm just going to ask you to let go of that, release the pressure that you're used to having and feeling, and instead just experience what's happening in your body. And you might feel that there's something kind of holding on or pushing you away from the floor. Could be in your back, in your low back, in your entire back, in all kinds of small little muscles. Can you release those muscles and let them just sink, soften toward the floor? It might be in your jaw or your neck, your fingers even, your hips. So notice if you start to feel things sort of melting down, that means that you've been holding tension and now you're starting to release it. And there can be a lot of that tension all over your body. So we're going to start using our breath now to help us release maybe some more of it. And so I want you to take a nice inhale and maybe take it down low towards your belly. And then a really slow exhale. And let it really be long and complete. We'll do that again, inhaling through the nose and exhaling through an open mouth. Let it be audible. And now through most of the rest of the practice, I'm going to ask you to breathe in and out through your nose. So you breathe in, big deep breath toward the belly, toward your hips even, toward your low back even, and then through the nose even slower. So take a few more breaths like that. Make your exhales as slow as you can get them. The more slow and complete your exhales are, the easier it will be for your body to just take a nice inhale for you. And it'll relax your nervous system and your muscles and all the soft tissue that gets stiff around the muscles. All right, we're going to start, continue breathing nice and slow. And we're going to start bringing our knees in Notice, is your low back a little bit tight as you bring your knees to your chest? Does it feel like it's sort of stiff to round through the back? That's pretty common for dancers. We arch our backs so much that we end up with a front and back imbalance. Okay, so let's take the left leg and just relax it on the mat, let it go long. And you're gonna use maybe one or both hands to take your right knee right and left. So we'll start really easy because I want you to feel into your body. What does it feel like as you begin your initial stiffness? And then how does it feel as you're moving, for example, with your hip right now? How does it feel as that hip is starting to loosen up, starting to release? So it's releasing some tightness and tension. And then as it's releasing, you can go further and further, right? But we're not pushing or forcing. Okay, we're not trying to get anywhere. We're trying to explore and just see, how long does it take before I start loosening up, and then how much farther does it go where where we're not pushing into tightness too much, just a little bit. So what we're doing is we're crossing or twisting, crossing the knee over the body, and then we're opening the knee up outside. So we're kind of opening that inner thigh and then twisting it, opening the outer thigh, or releasing them a little bit. So then you get to a point where you're really deeply twisting. When you get to that point where you're like, yeah, this feels good, you can stay in your twist and deepen your breath. And then you're gonna take your right arm away from your knee, and you can look toward that right arm. And let's start relaxing and opening the shoulder as well, getting the shoulder ready for some bigger, deeper, more intricate movement. So we're just gonna slide it up and down on the floor. So down toward your hip, and then up toward your head. And then can you pay attention to your breath and breathe deeply with that? And then at any point when you feel like, yeah, I'm feeling really good, you might find a place to stretch. So I'm gonna put my arm kind of up high and then emphasize pulling my knee away from my hand. Right knee away from right hand, head toward right arm. Very nice, let's bring it in. Bring the knee back to the chest and give it a few pulses here. Extend your leg up, maybe bend the knee once or twice as you point and flex your foot. So I like to flex when I'm straightening and point when I'm bending sometimes. Maybe roll your foot at the ankle a few times, each direction. And then we'll switch legs. So we'll send the right leg down, bring the left leg in, and then start that same easy movement. And then don't rush through this side, especially if this is your tighter side. But either way, like sometimes we know what we're doing. We know what's coming up and we rush to get there because we're just looking for results. And in yoga, we're training to focus on the process, and that's gonna help your dancing as well. Learning to really focus on each minute and subtle part of the entire process, being completely in the moment and in true relationship with your body. So you can really understand what your body needs, what it's doing, what it needs to do, rather than what we're hoping it's doing, right? Are you ever surprised when you watch a video of yourself? It felt one way and then you look and it's not quite what you felt like, right? So that's because we're a little bit, we don't have complete body awareness, and that takes a lot of training. So we're still opening and crossing that leg over. If you find any place where you need to really stay and work on it, go ahead and move things around. But otherwise, if you're ready for your twist, you extend your left arm and your right leg, or your left leg is crossed over. Breathe in and out, and start with that arm going up and down. So we're loosening up or releasing tension and tightness in the shoulder blade. Sometimes we have, or not the shoulder blade, well, I guess a little bit in the shoulder blade, but I meant just the whole shoulder. Sometimes we have, and I forgot what I was just about to say. had a thought wander in my mind and then I got stuck on the shoulder blade issue. All right, so find that place when you're ready. Left arm stretching away from the knee. Turn your head toward the left arm. Reach and breathe. And let's bring the knees back into center. Hug them in tight. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Bring your chin to your chest. Let's work with just that left leg now, straightening and bending, and add the point and the flex in. Maybe flexing as you straighten, pointing as you bend. And again, don't take this to the full end of your flexibility. I know you're flexible, right? We're just feeling into the body and finding where we can release tension. That's all we're trying to do right now. Okay, now take your leg up and get a few rotations of the foot. We're just getting the body ready to start moving. And now this is our just little bit of early core work we're gonna do. You bring your knees in, but not completely squeeze tight. So you can grab your thighs, the back of your thigh, so that there's a little bit of space. Your elbows are bent. We're gonna bring the elbows in tight. So creating some tightness and security. And you bring your chin not quite to your chest, to your fullest compacted position, but somewhere in like midway to that. And we're gonna start rocking. Don't start yet. We're not gonna use our legs and we're not gonna use our chest. We're gonna try to rock with the abdomen. So the only change I'm doing right now is I'm pressing my belly into the floor toward my hips to get them to rock forward, or to get me to rock forward. And then I'm pressing my belly into the floor toward my ribs to get me to rock back, and that's all happening really fast as I rock forward and back. So if you can then do that, you might be able to rock even more to where you're getting to a seated position. If you can't rock without kicking your legs, kick your legs the smallest amount you need to, or lift your chest the smallest amount you need to. And eventually we want to come up to a seated position. So when you're rocking, it's really important that you get rounded here. And that's kind of the opposite shape we often make a lot more in dance. So really get round, pressing your belly to your back. See if you can land in a seated position without touching your feet down. You have to use your core to do that. And then maybe you can lift up into a much straighter spine as you get to the top. And then we're gonna round back again. Use your abdomen now to press you back, to press you forward, and then you find that seated position. So let's play with that a bit. If you're hitting your spine rock, rock, really make sure you're rounding your back, or you might need to skip this if you can't do it from hitting that, boom, boom on your spine there. We don't want to hit the spine. And then if you want to add your breath, you're going to exhale to roll back. Inhale to roll up, nice and tall. Okay, let's do another one or two. Find your seated upright position. We'll turn this into a boat. And so we're gonna make sure that we're lifting the chest so that we get the spine straight, or maybe slightly arched. Your arms can go back to any position you like. Maybe you lift your feet, maybe you straighten your feet. Okay, that's harder, so pick the one that makes sense for you. We're breathing in and out. And then let's come to a seated position. Sit up, nice and tall. Move your spine around a little bit so you feel nice and loose. I'm gonna move back on my mat a little. We're gonna work on one more thing this is the foundation of what will really help transform your turns. Any kind of turns, especially pirouettes, but that's really the foundation of all the other turns. So take your legs straight out in front of you. And then we're gonna anchor our tailbone down into the floor. So you're gonna draw your belly button in and up and just kind of squeeze your glutes to get your tailbone down into the floor. And then pull your spine tall. So if you think of your spine, it's a long line, it comes up the crown of your head, and you're gonna reach it toward the ceiling. But those shoulders aren't coming up with it, right? They're gonna drop down toward the hips. So you're getting really long through the spine, all the way up through the crown of your head, that spot right at the top, as if there was a string attached and you were being pulled up, but you're anchoring your tailbone, your sits bones, and your hips down into the floor. And so what's happening is we're taking some of the curves that are in our spine, which we want, we don't want them overly curvy, but we need curves in our spine. But for the purposes of core work and turns, we need to get tight in there. So we're semi-straightening the spine to a degree, right? And then we're lengthening the back of the neck, which is part of that semi-spine lengthening. A lot of times what happens that stops our turn is we get tension through the shoulders, in the jaw, and in the neck. So with yoga, we're training, at least with my practice, we're training to get that nice long neck so you've got a great axis around which you're turning. So let's try again. If you have been still doing that, give it a little break, wiggle it out, and then let's do it again one more time. We're gonna pull the belly in, anchor the tailbone down, squeeze the glutes, breathe in, and lengthen your spine. Reach the crown of your head toward the ceiling as you keep breathing, allowing your shoulders to relax as you exhale. Breathe in and out. Inhaling and exhaling. The back of the neck should feel really long. Don't lift the chin. Keep it like if you had a big grapefruit under there, you've got to hold on to that grapefruit and let the back of your neck release. Tension, releasing tension and lengthening. Okay, so let that go. There's a couple of things I want to say about that as we start moving a little more full body. And one is sometimes when you see other classes of yoga, you're going to see a lot of chin lifting and tensing of the back of the neck. So my training of yoga is to not do that. I know that is really common in some classical schools, but it does create more tension through here in an area that we all tend to actually be tense already. And it's just extra important for you as a dancer to be able to turn to not train that way. Okay, so we're going to do things with the back of the neck that you might see in other yoga classes differently. And we'll start that with our cat-cow. So you'll come to tabletop position with your hands under your shoulders. And when you go to do your cow, which is this, don't just let your body sink into it, all right? We're going to instead do it with more intention. Belly in tight. You lift your tailbone, reach your chest forward and up, and instead of lifting your chin up, you're going to lengthen the back of your neck and then lift up from the back of the neck. And we'll breathe in here. And then as you exhale, tuck your tailbone, get really round through your spine, drop your head and notice that your hands are now a little bit in front of your shoulders, so you're going to walk them back a little. And this is where we're going to keep them now, so that you can really use the floor as leverage. And then inhale, and then with conscious attention, come to that arch, because I know as a dancer you're very archy and you can just drop into that. We're actually going to use muscle as we go into our arch, and then really round that spine. Push into the floor to round it. Don't bend your elbows, because if you do, you're not getting as much of your spinal movement as you need. So I'm reaching the crown of my head forward instead of lifting up my chin. Let's exhale to go back to cat. Inhale to move into cow. Do a couple more of these or any other sort of wiggling that your body needs to loosen up from this tabletop position. And then we're going to start a warm-up sort of flow. And so this is where it's going to start getting fun, and then it'll get even funner. So if you need to loosen up your wrists a little bit, go ahead and do that. And if you have tight wrists and at any point it feels like we're doing too much work on our hands today, just pause the video real quick and roll your wrists around on the floor like this, like or up in the air. Move your wrists and hands. So from tabletop position, get a flat back. Don't be arched or rounded. So nice flat back. Reach your tailbone away from the crown of your head. Breathe in as you send your right leg out behind you. Now you're going to want to open your hips out. We don't want to do that. Turn them down so the top of your thigh, your knee, and your toes are all aiming down. Draw your belly and your ribs in tight. Reach from the crown of your head to your heel. And then maybe you add a second arm, that left arm palm in. Now pull everything, all your limbs in towards your torso. So your left shoulder in towards your shoulder, let's say your torso. We'll just say that. And your right leg into your hip. Breathe in and out. Now we're going to send the right leg a little to the right, but don't open the leg out. And the left arm a little to the left. So we're just opening out a little bit. The toes are still aiming down. I know what your tendency will be. We all do that, so don't let that leg open up. Breathe in and bring them back straight in line, front to back. Take a breath in.
Exhale, crunching knee to nose, get really round. We're working on stability here and going super slow motion, so those muscles really have to work. Breathe in and stretch long. Okay, now the left hand is going to come to the floor, right under the left shoulder. We'll spin the left foot out and behind us so it's more on the floor behind you, and turn our body open sideways with the arm reaching up. This is called half moon, except it's on the knee right now. And we're going to press your right heel straight back behind you. Pull the crown of your head forward away from your heel so that your neck is long, especially the back of your neck. Now we want to blow our ribs out. That's the way we're often used to working. So pull them in tight, belly in tight, ribs in tight, so your back straightens up a little bit. Breathe in and out. Let's point the toe, the right toe, set it down on the floor. Let your arm reach overhead and then drop. So we're getting a nice side bend of the body. Don't let go of your core. Keep your abdominal core, keep pulling it in. Pull your left shoulder away from your ear and breathe. We're going to go into a little bit of a back bend and a twist now by bending the right knee and sliding your right toes back a little bit. So you've got another point back there of stability, and then start twisting your chest open toward the ceiling. Back bend with a twist to get into it. Take your right elbow down to the floor, palm as well, as you stretch your right foot out behind you and curl your toes under. So the right leg is stretched long. We're coming into a side plank. We're going to come in one of two ways. So the first way might be to put your foot on the floor, your left foot on the floor, and then turn onto the outer blade of your right foot, and you can send your left arm up or to your hip. If you want to challenge it a little bit more, you're going to either stagger straight legs or stack them. Make sure you're breathing. Press your hips away from the floor, belly in tight, tailbone toward your heels. Long neck, the back of the neck especially. And now we'll come to a forearm plank with both arms down, so we're straight toward the floor. Breathe in and out. Okay, come to your knees. Walk your hands back. Walk your hips back to your heels. Let your forehead come to the floor. Inhale to rise back up to hands and knees. We'll try it again. Tailbone away from crown of head. Left side this time. So left foot straight back behind you. Don't let that left hip open up. You've got to use your transverse abdominis to help turn, and I think your gluteus medius to help turn that leg down rather than opening up the way it wants to. And then the right arm's going to extend forward if you're adding that. So you can work with just the leg and keep both hands on the floor. Really press your left heel back, crown of the head forward, breathing in, belly and ribs in tight. And now we're going to open up. This is a stability exercise. Both of these from this position are. So the left leg goes out and the right arm goes out, but we're keeping the toes down, and keep your limbs integrated into your torso. So don't have them hanging out. Really kind of pull the hip and the shoulder in. Let's straighten it back up. Breathing in. Remember, we're going super slow motion. Makes it more challenging. Let's bring knee to nose, elbow to hip. If you're finding yourself really wobbly, join the club, but that means we want to work these types of exercises so we can strengthen our stability muscles along the spine and hips. Okay, right hand's going to come down to the floor. Spin your right foot off of your mat behind you and begin opening your body into that low half moon. Make sure you're pulling your ribs and belly in so you're not arching like this. Pull the belly and the ribs in tight. Aim the tailbone toward your heel. Heel and head reaching away from each other. Point your left toes, set them on the floor. Let your arm reach overhead and then hang. Let your head hang so we get a nice bend of the side body. And now you're going to glide your toes back as you bend your left knee. So left knee, left toes go back. Aim your tailbone towards your backs of your knees so that you can then rotate chest towards ceiling. Okay, we're going to take the left elbow and palm down, left leg straight back behind us, toes curled under. Come to either version of half or side plank. So it's either here or we're stacking. Breathe in. Pull everything in tight. It's like we're hugging into the midline. Now remember that back of the neck is lengthening. Breathe in and out. Shoulders coming down. And then we bring it to our plank. Breathe in and out. Okay, knees down. Come back to that child's pose. I'm going to fix my little microphone here that's threatening to come off. Little child's pose, and then we'll start making our way to downward facing dog. You might grab a sip of water if you would like before we go into that. Okay, so for downward facing dog, make sure that your hands are a little wider than the width of your shoulders. Right, so we don't want arms up, tensing up our shoulders. So a little wider than the width of your shoulders. Each finger should be spread out. Really pressing the knuckles down into the floor and the fingers, especially the base of the fingers, not so much the tips. You can pedal your feet until you feel warmed up into this if you're not quite right away. Make sure you're breathing long and slow and deep. Through the nose, both in and out. So the idea here is we're trying to press our tailbone back and up and lengthen our spine. Let's lift the heels up and really stretch the feet and then press the heels down, lift them up, and then we're going to tiptoe, but really exaggeratingly use your feet to tiptoe forward and press your body up. And then really curl the toes of the next foot up. So use your feet as much as you can, like in the most intricate way you can to get those to strengthen and stretch. Till you're kind of toward the front of your mat, and then bend your knees a little bit. We're going to come into a little ball shape and we'll create a breathing flow. So if you're ever doing contemporary or modern, the breath work is really important, and sometimes it's actually in the choreography. So they use the same breath that we do in yoga. So we're going to work on that. So every time you contract or kind of move forward and down, you're going to breathe out. Makes sense because you're squeezing, right? Squeeze the air out. Every time you're lifting up, rising, opening, you want to breathe in. So let's go. We'll do a little flow here. We'll set it up. So we're going to breathe in to lift up into, this is kind of a version of half lift we're going to use today. It's like a 90-degree angle. And you're going to reach your fingers back, draw your belly and ribs in. If you want to add a bend of the knees, that's great. You can do that, and actually will help you strengthen your hamstrings, but you don't have to. And again, we're reaching the back of the neck long to reach the crown of the head forward. So if we're coming down up from the floor, we're inhaling to come up to this. And we inhale to rise all the way up, bringing your hands above head. And right back down again to that 90-degree angle or half lift. We're exhaling to come down to that. And we'll stay here and breathe in and lengthen through your spine. Crown of head away from tailbone, and then exhale to come down into your tight little ball. And if you want to come down through a forward fold first, you can. Okay, let's inhale to come back up to that half lift. And then up to hands above head, standing. Exhale to come back down through that half lift and then right into your ball. So it's like 2 positions, maybe 3 if you're adding in your forward fold. All right, so let's go for it. Inhale to come up to half lift and then up to standing. Exhale to come down to half lift and down to ball. We'll make it a little slower this time. Inhale up to half lift. Hold it here now as you exhale. Ground through your feet. Inhale to rise up, hands above head. Exhale right back down to half lift, and we're going to hold it. Inhale to lengthen through your spine. Exhale to come down to that ball. Inhale back to half lift. Exhale, stay here and ground through your feet. Inhale to rise up. Exhale back to half lift and hold it there. Inhale to lengthen through your spine. Exhale to ground it down into that little ball. Warm up your feet. We're going to come back to downward facing dog. So you can go right there. Take a moment to breathe. I just want to make sure my microphone doesn't come off of me. We'll put together a fun little sequence, and this will help with grounding, the first part of this sequence, and then we'll build on it for more help with turning. So from your downward facing dog, take a breath. Open mouth, exhale. Breathing in and out through your nose again. We'll take the right leg up, stretch it up behind you, three-legged dog. Exhale as you bring your knee towards your nose, take your weight over your hands or in between your hands. So you're shifting forward and we're holding the knee. Maybe you can even touch your nose or forehead and then take the leg back up. Take the knee to the right elbow or higher, weight over the hands. Inhale to take the leg back up. Exhale to take the leg to your left elbow, and you can slide your right hand back a little bit more so it's under your shoulder here. Now we're really going to use the floor by taking the outer blade of your right foot, dig it into the floor to slide it. So you're using the friction of the floor to slide. And then as you start dropping your hips toward the floor, you reach your hand back toward your foot, swing it down and around in a big circle. And maybe add a little back bend here. Take your left hand back to the floor. You're going to use your abdomen, or please use your abdomen, to pull your foot back. So it's coming underneath you. Bring your knee to your chest, and then you have options to either come to that same type of side plank with the foot down, or you can go to a straight leg side plank, or this is the fun part, you can take your knee back with you, bring it to towards your chest, and then keep it there so you come into a side plank with a tree. You might even lift that leg up, bring it down, plank, and then child's pose or downward facing dog. Take a breath. Breathe in and out. How is your body feeling? Check in. So tune in with what's going on. Make sure we're not hurting anything. Notice how your breath is. Slow it down by exhaling more slowly. Inhaling more deeply. Notice, is your heart rate pounding? So we're taking time to feel. Do my shoulders feel okay? Do I have any weird sensations anywhere? Is there tightness anywhere that I need to not push? Because at this point we've been moving a lot. So if there's still tightness somewhere, that's an indication you need to be careful with that. Give it a little break. Okay, if you're not in your downward dog, we'll get there. We're going to go for the other side, and then we'll build on this sequence. We'll change it a little bit and add a bunch. So find your downward facing dog. Breathe in, breathe out. Take your left leg up behind you, three-legged dog. So you're swinging it up high, bring it to your nose. Exhale. This is really important, this shape for dancers, for kind of a cross-training conditioning. Breathe in, take it up. And then knee to your left elbow or higher. Inhale, take it up. Exhale, cross it over towards your right elbow. Hold that twist for a moment. And then you'll maybe take your left hand back a little bit. Slide across the floor as you stretch your leg out. We'll dip the hip down as we reach the arm toward the foot, the right foot behind us. Swing it down and over and up. So we're basically circling the arm. Okay, now you're going to use your belly, your abdomen, to pull your hip back to get your leg back. Knee to chest here in kind of a plank. Find whichever version of side plank you like. And then maybe, if you did the tree version, you can take your leg up. Back to plank, and then down for a little break. Come to a seated position unless you want downward facing dog. Take a breath. In and up. Okay, so we're gonna do that same flow, but we're gonna add to it. And I think we should keep I think we'll have to drop the crunches so we have time to do a few more things. But keeping the crunches can be a fun idea, tiring. So instead of doing the crunches from the down dog, we'll do three-legged dog right into that twist crunch, right into this one, right? And then from there, we're going to be stepping into a runner's lunge. So I want you to choose an option that makes sense for you where you have stability
There's a little challenge, a little risk, but it's stable. And you can do it with a sense of ease rather than forcing or struggling. So when you come from your side plank, let's say it's this one, we're going to be stepping that right foot forward. So I have to kind of come onto the outer blade of my foot to get that foot forward. You can also put your hand down first and then get the foot forward. And that you can do that from any of the planks, right? The higher your plank, the more your legs are doing, the more you're going to have to get that leg around. So if you need to get your right hand to the floor first to do it, then go ahead. And if that doesn't matter, if you feel pretty like you got pretty good control over your body and your core feels strong and you can feel a sense of your power, you can experiment with it and play with where you're going to take that leg when it's up in that one of those versions of planks to the front. Take 2 more breaths here. Okay, we're going to take the right leg behind us for 3-legged dog. Breathe in, take the leg up. Exhale, twist to the left elbow. Send the leg through. Wind the arm around as you lower that hip down. Breathe in. Stretch. Take the left hand down under the left shoulder. Knee in. Find your version of side plank. Maybe put the hand down if you want to bring your foot to the front. Runner's lunge. We're sending that foot forward. You're going to start sliding your back foot out to the left sideways about 90 degrees so we can rise up to Warrior 2. So for Warrior 2, we have the back leg straight and the back foot is facing the side of the mat or inward slightly toward the front, not outward. Your front foot's facing the front of your mat. And we're going to go tailbone down, right? So we don't get this arch back here. Tailbone down, belly in, ribs in, root down through your feet and your tailbone, shoulders dropping, but the neck is long, the spine is long, the crown of the head is reaching up. Your belly button, we want to be like we're trying to pull it up. Breathing in and out. Really squeeze and root your feet down like you're trying to dig into the floor, and maybe even try pulling them toward each other. So they won't move, but you're making those muscles work. Take your back hand to your back thigh, flip your front palm up, and then bend through the side of your body. So I call this exalted warrior. Rise back up, Warrior 2. We're going to turn palms facing where we're facing. So instead of facing down. And then angle them like at an angle here. Now really dig your feet into the floor, squeeze your belly in, and start coming down slowly toward your right thigh. But if you drop all the way to the floor, which I know you can do that, most likely, don't. Because I want you to work on your core instead. So rather than just dumping into your front hip and showing your flexibility, let's strengthen by instead pressing the back of your hand or your arm into your thigh, and then maybe go a little lower. But I want you holding yourself up mainly with your core. And then the back of the neck, we might be doing this. So pull that chin in a little bit and lengthen through there. And like I said, that is training for better turns. Okay, we're going to rise back up to Warrior 2. Hands to your waist. Turn on your back foot so that your back heel pops up and you're facing the front of your mat. And then step forward. We're getting ready for a tree pose, but like super dancer style. You might be facing me. I'm going to turn so I can face you. If you're not facing me, turn so you can face me. And make sure your feet are hip width apart. Breathe in, breathe out. All right, so you might take an open mouth exhale or two. We're going to make sure our feet are forward. So we've been training to have our feet out. If you're doing any ballet at all or any training that resembles ballet, bring those toes forward, heels back. We're working parallel to strengthen other muscles to create a little more stability through our hips, fewer back aches, right? And it's not going to hurt your dance training. In fact, modern dance is like this almost completely. Aim or send your hips back a little bit so your weight's a little more over your heels, and then root your tailbone down toward the floor. Draw your belly in and up. Okay, so we're going to do this dancer style. If you do ballet, then you've done coupe. There's different ways to do coupe. We're going to do it standing on the left foot. So bend your stand on your right foot, standing on the right foot, bend your left knee, turn it sideways, and then just set that right foot, the left foot on top of your right foot. So left foot on top of right, and then we're gonna start to wrap. So this is the classical coupe where the toes are back, behind the ankle and the heel is in the front. So you got your arch pretty much on the front ankle of your foot. And we're gonna use that as a grounding point. So the foot to leg, and really press into that, but start lifting, tailbone down, spine lifting up to lift your leg. See how high you can lift it without using your hand, and then take your hand, grab your ankle, and pull it up to your thigh. Okay, just in case I have non-dancers in here, I've been assuming you have been dance training for a while, and so your body has probably been used to getting into these kinds of positions. But if not, then you might want to have your foot lower on your calf, okay? I know some people will probably watch this who don't dance. Belly in, ribs in. Arms are gonna go out and up. Now really actively press your leg down into the floor. Okay, you can take your hands to your waist if you prefer. Really press the feet down. And then lift the spine up. So it's like your body is going in two different directions. The lower half is shooting down into the floor. The upper half is lifting, except for those shoulders, which are dropping. Okay, let's go hands to our heart. This is gonna prepare you for pirouette. If you can get this position where the back of your neck is long, and you're stabilizing that leg. Now, if you still feel like you've got strength in your leg, we're gonna work on a turn for if you were in arabesque and needed to turn your arabesque. The way you do that is you lift your heel. So you're gonna lift your heel, try balancing first if you like. I can't do that right now. But we're gonna lift the heel and then try to turn the heel so you're doing an outward turn or an external turn. So you're gonna lift and rotate that heel. Lift and rotate that heel. So you're going towards your bent knee. Lift and rotate that heel. Keep lifting up through your torso and head, down through your leg. One more time or two till you get to your final position. And then we're gonna face the front of your mat, wherever that is for you. Face the front of your mat, shake your legs out if you need to. Give that hip a little break. Come back to standing in parallel. Inhale your arms out and up. Exhale, forward fold, but bend your knees and take your back to downward dog. We're just gonna go straight there. We got one more side to do. Breathe in and out through your nose. Inhale, left leg high. Three-legged dog. Exhale, twist to crunch toward your right elbow. Use the ground, slide it across the floor, right? So that's that grounding floor work that we're working on here. Really use the ground to glide it. Now we're gonna drop the hip toward the floor as we circle the arm down and forward and back up. Little back bend here. Exhale as you use your core to slide that foot back. Keep it grounded into the floor. Right hand below your shoulder, come into any version of side plank. So your left foot can stay on the floor facing the side of the mat. You can stack your legs, stagger them, or find that tree, maybe lift the leg up. And then we're gonna take it to that runner's lunge. Okay, left foot is forward, make sure. Right arm's gonna swing forward and up. Rotate your back foot sideways. Find your warrior two. This should feel good to you. Typically the distance between the front and the back foot are like the length of your leg. But I don't want you to be so sunken in deep into it. So make sure it's like a place where you've got good stability. You can really use your muscles, right? This isn't, I don't want you to go to your most flexible position. And really root your feet down. Pull your belly into your low back, especially toward the right side. Let that back leg straighten and press the outer blade of the foot into the floor. Breathing. Tailbone down, back of the neck long, crown of the head up toward the ceiling. Like I said, it's good turning training, but also for a lot of other things we do in dance. Back hand to your back thigh, flip your front palm up. Inhale as you stretch into a side bend, exalted warrior. Rise back up, warrior two. Breathe in and out. Okay, turn your palms so they're facing front, same direction your chest is. Angle your arms at a diagonal and then root the back of your hand against your thigh. As you start sliding down, it's the back of your arm against your thigh. Keep reaching the crown of your neck in a long diagonal away from your seat and your heel. So the back of your neck should be long. Ribs and belly should be in. Breathe. Shoulders away from your neck or from your ears. Rise up, warrior two. Squeeze those legs into the floor. Hands to your waist and begin spinning on your back foot to get that right heel up. Step it way forward to meet the left. So you should be at a standing position. If you're not facing me, come and face me. Get that rooted foundational position where your feet are straight forward. Your weight's back a little bit, your pelvis is back a little. You're aiming your tailbone down and drawing your belly in. Lifting your chest. Don't like lift it. Kind of just lift everything tall through the spine as you root down through the lower half of the body. Breathe in and out. Let the shoulders come down. Okay, hands to the waist to begin. Let's shift our weight onto the left foot and turn your right foot out sideways with the knee bent. And just set your left foot on top of the right one for a moment. Set your right foot on top of the left one for a moment. Tailbone down, spine tall, back of the neck is long, shoulders are dropping toward the hips. We'll create our coupe. We're going to start lifting that right foot up the leg a little bit, pointing the toes to the back of the ankle, toward your Achilles heel, and your front heel is toward the front of your calf, where it meets the ankle. Remembering to get that anchoring foundation in through your abdomen as well. Tailbone is still anchoring down with the leg, your left leg, shooting energy downward while we lift the spine and the back of the neck tall, the crown of the head tall. And use that foot to glide it up. See how high you can get it, and then grab it, place it into position. This is going to help you if you really press your foot into your thigh and your thigh into your foot. So you get that like nice tension. This is good tension because it's with intention. And it's going to help you. Anchor your tailbone down, belly in and up. Chest, not chest, let's think about the spine lifting. Just because as dancers, if we're told to lift our chest, we often thrust it forward. It feels like we're lifting up. Breathe in and out. Keep the crown of your head up. Hands can go up above head, or you can put your palms together at your heart. Really anchor your leg down, and if you want to come up onto tiptoes, you can. We'll need to do that a little bit to turn, so you don't have to try to hold the tiptoes. But so this will help with your turn because we're creating this beautiful long axis around which your body can spin. Really need the back of your neck long, right, and your shoulders down, and not have tension through the jaw. So with yoga, we're practicing breathing, practicing doing this calmly, without pressure, focusing on the process so that when you go into the dance studio or onto the stage to turn, your body knows how to relax and get into this position. It's so vital that you have that calmness. Now, if your leg's not already exhausted, you can try the arabesque type turning. We're not doing it in arabesque, we're doing it in tree pose. But you do it the same way. If you're turning in arabesque, you're going to come, lift your heel, and then just set it, shift it to the, what direction is that? To the right a little bit, so that you start turning towards your bent knee. Now you don't forget to lift up with your torso and neck and down with your foot. Okay, you can go until you get back to the front of your mat. Take your time. If you come out of it like I'm starting to, just kind of work your way, come back up or wiggle around till you find your balance again. Tailbone down, belly in. I have to constantly remind myself all these little cues. All right, so now we're going to take that foot down, wiggle yourself around a little bit. Let's come down to the floor. We're going to come back onto our mat. So we don't have time in this class to do a really great long Shavasana. It's just a 45-minute class. So I do recommend that you hit stop or pause as we get into, before you get into Shavasana, or after I end it, and then you get back into Shavasana. Bring your knees to your chest. Feel, okay, where am I feeling a lot of sensation
that I want to stretch nice and calmly. For me, I think it's the backs of my legs through my thighs. So I'm going to do this long stretch of my legs. Now we're going for calm relaxation so that your body can heal in your Shavasana. So I probably wouldn't take yourself to your 100% fullest stretch. But your body is really warm, so if that's important to you right now, you can. But I'd really love to train your nervous system because dancers have so much pressure and stretch. So my intention for today is that you do things that initiate calm, because that is actually going to help your tissues to release and relax by being not taking things to their fullest extent. Sometimes when we really work our stretch, we're actually creating more tension, actually pretty much almost always. Right, so maybe try teaching your nervous system to relax and not take it to its fullest stretch. Anything else that you need to do, you might pause and go ahead and do it. But if you feel ready, let's stay here and just stretch into a full body stretch position. So your legs are long. And you're going to rotate your arms outward so that the palms are facing up, so that you get this outward, or this opening of the fronts of your shoulders and chest. You kind of tuck your shoulder blades in a little bit, not too much. You can take your arms out away from your body as much as it takes to get a relaxed position for you. So sometimes that's down here for me. Right now it feels great out to the sides. Make sure your chin's not popping up. So you want to lengthen the back of the neck a little bit. Take a deep breath into the belly. Open your mouth. And then take at least 5 minutes for your Shavasana, maybe 10. Thank you so much for letting me guide your yoga practice as conditioning for dance. My name is Noell Hyman. You can find me at Noell Hyman Yoga, and this is for Yoga's Arc. Namaste.